Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is Cee, certified brewhead.
And I'm Tiffany, liquid enthusiast.
And welcome to episode 17 of Bière de Link Podcast Link Up series. This is the 6th and final week of Link Up Series 3. It's been a great one, actually.
Awesome.
As always.
Yeah.
We haven't had anything less than fire. So this series, once again, we had Brasserie Generale, Fine Balance, Bellwoods, Lost Craft, Rorschach, and the final brewery bringing us back into Quebec.
Our fave. I mean, everyone's our fave.
Everyone's our fave.
But we go way back, you know?
We go way back. I was speaking to this gentleman earlier. He's been on the podcast like 3-4 times a lot. So, you know, people have definitely seen this young man a bunch. And this, with reference to a conversation that we've had with this gentleman a few times on the pod, and also in real life to a bunch of people. So definitely, it feels like a nice full circle moment to sort of bring it all back. So please welcome the God, Simon Livingstone of the Espace Public in the building. Burlington's finest. Look at this guy.
Burlington represent, you know?
Love you, Simo.
Hi, Simo. How you doing?
Oh, just love you guys, man. What is up? What's going on?
Mate.
Let's go.
Let's go. That's what.
Let's go is our main phrase of the summer, basically.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Well, I think it's time to go with this glorious gem of a craft beverage. It's gonna do. You have to tap it. There we go. This is L'Espace Public's Bière de Link Up, a Gose with white hibiscus. What a unique beverage, Simo. I am amped.
There's
to say
something like
the
I
least.
love the Bière de Link Up. I don't know why I just sound so
Yeah,
cool.
it's so cute.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you guys think? Yeah, the Bière de Link Up. What do you
I
think?
love that. I love the name.
Oh, I love the name.
We haven't sipped it, but I love the name.
I know we got the beer last week, and you probably expected us to try it, but every single time we've waited until we do the podcast to try the beer, intentionally. Yeah. I think there's something...
So we're surprised.
Yeah, so we're surprised.
Oh,
and it's
gosh.
like,
you guys are going to have a great time right now.
Tell us...
Real.
We're going to take some photos whilst we're talking about it, whilst Tiff is pouring the beer here. Tell us about it, because this is like, you know, when Uncle Carl, the mullet god, was talking about, as we know, he was talking about the, go for it, the white hibiscus. So I've never even heard of it. I didn't know there was other colors of hibiscus. Tell us what that is, what the thinking behind the beer is, the whole vibes.
Where did the thinking behind the beer? We wanted to participate in the project, in the program, in the thing. We were like, what are we going to do? We're going to like get a, you know, do our thing and make a sour beer. Yes. Okay, good. What are we going to put in it? We put fruit, whatever. And then we're thinking, I think Julien Lafortune, my homie, brought it up. He was like, yo, he's been talking about white hibiscus for a while. Okay. Now, the first time I think any of us heard of white hibiscus was Dieu du Ciel did like a variant of their hibiscus beer with white hibiscus.
The rosé hibiscus. Okay.
Exactly. So this would have been the Blanche de Hibiscus, maybe. I don't remember exactly what the brand was, but and I remember it being cool. I'm like, yo, like you just said, there's more than one kind of hibiscus, right? And I guess Julien, when he had been at Ashlag, they had used white hibiscus and maybe a gin, maybe the seltzer, I don't know, something. So I got the contact, I got the link up from that, and
I see what you did.
Seya Nabuami is the lady. She's a Senegalese woman here in Montreal. I don't know what her day job is, but her side hustle is hibiscus. So she's the one with the white hibiscus.
Huh.
Nice.
She's amazing. She's super cool.
Okay.
And it like took a bit to like get it down, but when she comes drop it off, she like texts me, "Do you have a scale?" I'm like, what?
Like,
yeah, sure, yeah.
Is this a deal or what?
And she fucking comes out of her minivan with like a sack, like 2 fucking huge sacks over his shoulder, like this big.
Wow.
Because it's like dried flour, so it doesn't weigh a lot. And then we just like go inside and like weigh it out. She's like, here you go. Oh, she was awesome. That was awesome.
That's cool. And I didn't know it was like a Sinhalese woman. That's actually cooler.
That's
too.
even cooler because it kind of blends
fits
more
in with
the whole concept.
Yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
So you ordered the product anyway, or you did it specifically for the Link Up beer?
Specifically for the Link Up beer.
Just for the Link Up beer.
Cool.
All right, that's
so
even cooler.
Cool. I love that.
We're like, and also we're fans of Gose, but it's not a product that sells necessarily well for us. Cheers, y'all.
Samo.
Cheers.
Get it in you, mate. Put it in you.
Put them up. Get them in you. Put it in you. So sometimes we're like reticent to do runs of Gose. It just like, has to be the right time, but like right now in the year is the right time to do this, and the beer's sick. I'm really, really stoked. I hope you guys like it.
That's really nice.
This is crazy. Like, I'm getting a lot of, like, talk us through some of the flavors here, because once again, the red hibiscus is probably just got a bit of, obviously color aside. It's like an earthy type of product, a bit floral, obviously. What is this delivering? What is the white hibiscus delivering specific that's over and above the, what would be in a Gose?
So there's a few things happening in this beer. A very, very prominent thing is this rice. It's like, I think half rice, 50% rice in the grain bill. And that's something that we've just been doing to death over here for the past year or two, a year and a half maybe, of like all this rice, especially in sour beers.
Why is
I
that?
just think it works so well. I don't know. So you get this like kind of peachy thing. The way the rice, the nuttiness of the rice, and like the brown rice flavor plays against the yeast profile and the acidity, and like peach.
That's the flavor. It's
after
so
that,
peachy.
so the hibiscus, and then the hibiscus like just clicks into there. So like right around that peachiness, you have this floral hibiscus kind of acidity, because hibiscus is quite acidic. Like it's really sour.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
And then the salt is very, very lightly dosed. How I like to make my Gose these days. And so that too just like supports the thing. Gives it like a mouthfeel refreshing
Super
thing.
refreshing.
Oh yeah.
Again, drinkability, like makes you want to drink more of the beer.
Drinkability's at like 1,000%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's super like when you identified the peach, I couldn't pick it at first. I always sort of went more to citrus, but it's like lemon and peach with the peach dominating. So it kind of just feels like
peach and cream.
Yeah, because the salinity, but like you said, you kept the salt mild, so the salinity gives it like I guess tones down sweetness whilst giving it a touch of body, like you said. And the salt makes you come back for more. It's fucking fire, bro.
Yeah.
I really like this. This is going to be a problem this time.
I really like this beer. It's good.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
really happy. It's definitely my favorite beer that we have right now.
Oh, yay.
I love that. When does it officially come out? Like, I guess
I
today,
think
tomorrow?
like today.
Today? Okay, I haven't seen the post
I think that it got distributed starting in Montreal 2 days.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's available for
seeing it
distro.
around.
Okay.
Yeah. Today we're June 30th, 2022.
For those not watching. Okay.
It's fantastic. I really love it. That's really cool.
Yeah, man.
You guys.
Oh, we love you too. There's no question
don't
about
get me
that.
started. That is
And also just love the uniqueness of like, the white hibiscus and then like the Sinhalese lady bringing that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful. That's beautiful the way that works.
I'm loving
She's
that.
awesome. She's
So that's just she killed it. Those hibiscus plants are hidden. Those flowers are definitely hidden. You can let her know.
Yo.
That shit is hidden. Tell her that exactly.
That harvest, that harvest
Tiff.
is hidden for sure.
You got a scale? You got
I know,
a scale?
We do. Let's go.
We do actually. Yeah.
Very small scale, but it'll work. I even like the heart print cans you got here with the street lines in the front here are all raised, which is something I hadn't noticed before.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and then I was gonna say, like, how do you like that we've included? I kind of asked it, like, included Link Up 100% in our code, the communication code. You know, this is just like a Lespospublic label beer. I don't know. There's something there.
Oh, I love
it.
Everything about this is perfect.
Yeah.
The layout with the logo on the side. You've got the QR code on the other side over there.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, bro. This is gorgeous. And once again, what we say this almost every episode, but we love that we don't interfere with this. So we had no conversations about the beer except at the very beginning where you were like, I'll probably do like a light sour being.
Sour
it's
beer.
Like it's June. It's what L'Espace does, but I like that without any conversation, you've kept it within, like, all we asked was to call it Link Up. And I love that you did, like Tiff said earlier, like the Bière de Link Up is true to your brand whilst, fulfilling what we requested. I don't know. I don't think anyone's done that, actually, done the extra thing. It's always just Link Up from memory.
Yeah. This is like, so when I first saw it, I was like, this is so like L'Espace. It just felt really... It just felt so right.
So,
I love it. It felt so right. It just feels like a perfect integration.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
the way to say it.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for once again being a part of it. It's an honor always. Obviously we said this the other night. Obviously, there's a lot of the people involved, the people that are our homies from time. Not only just because you're good people, but because you make amazing beer and you believe in this cause, which kind of is my segue to the first question, I guess, is what about Link Up felt like a fit for L'Espace? Like, why did it make sense for you guys to do something like this?
Oh, it's just right in our wheelhouse. It's like what we do is inclusion, so much a part of our mandate. Coming from the brew pub scene, that bar, like we've discussed on other podcasts, is like just a space that all are welcome. Everybody can come. Everybody should come. So yeah, it was like right where we were at, and with already our internal policies when you guys started doing this, it was like, well, yeah, I want that. It's interesting. I, as you know, Craig, I was like a bit confused about what it was about, right?
Yes.
And I was really stoked to like have this more challenging aspect, which is like trying to integrate a personnel into the company somewhere, even though that would have been a way bigger challenge and like, it could have been a success or a failure or whatever. That was even more attractive to me. But because I knew it would be challenging, I was like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta like find some money to pay this person to like bring them in,
Mm-hmm.
But then when I found out, no, we give you money and then you do that, then it's, oh, sure, that's also right in our wheelhouse,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That is completely fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about this off air, and everything you said is exactly what I expected. Back in, I think, 2018, we had a conversation, the three of us, at the brew pub, and this was something that Tiff and I referred to it earlier. We've told so many people this story, and we must have said this on the podcast at some point.
For sure.
But
because I know what you're already talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Simo, I mentioned it to Simo before, and you didn't really remember the conversation.
Not the moment specifically, no.
No, but it really resonated with us to the point, like I said, we brought it up to probably 10 different people. You said to us, like, guys, once again, this is like 2018, long before all of this, and you were like, how can we attract a more diverse client base, drinkers, and the actual employees, like to get our talent more diverse? And no one had ever asked us that before, and that's why it stood out to us. And it was a really important question because we'd been involved at that time. Even like the podcast had been around for 3 years and some change, and we'd made a lot of relationships, but no one had really stepped to us to do that. And we just thought that was really like dope because it was like from a real place. There was no one else around. It was just the three of us, and so obviously it was important to you. This is your brand, so it's important to your company. And one of the ideas that Tiffany said, you want to this is what we usually tell people. They go, well,
Yeah,
we told Simon
we would
this.
have spoken, yeah, when we talked about it, we would have said to likely integrate into, like, spaces where people of color are, like partnering with the Jamaican Association, for example. In Montreal, partnering with any, like, Haitian association would probably be, like, super key. Especially because we have heard, like, well, most people are always just like, oh, well, you know, it's like super white in this place of Quebec where I am and things like that. But I have noticed that in every area, the people who have a culture, they all come together and they always are like a part of something. They're part of some association, they're part of some organization. So it's kind of like finding that organization. And then it's just like, hey, we might be the beer for your event, right? Everybody's drinking, everybody loves to drink, but they're going to buy a case of Budweiser instead or buy something random because they don't know. So, like, that's a good opportunity, and I think that's what we initially had spoken about, because that was kind of, like, one of the ideas. Like, my mom's in the Jamaican Association, so I was just like, oh, they're always having events and always doing things, and, you know, they're just buying, yeah, Heineken specifically for the Jamaicans. And then, you know, an Appleton. So, like, yeah, maybe you can work your way in there. So I think that was an opportunity, and then I guess these conversations and things continue to evolve, and that's kind of, like, where Link Up now is coming in, because we're less like there's so many different opportunities, and then how do we help in diversifying an industry that we care about too, because that also helps the industry grow. So that's where it's been.
Exactly right. You just put it right on the money, Tiff. Helps everybody grow.
Yeah, like literally, like gets people jobs where they might have not looked. And the one thing, and that's something that I actually want to start doing on social that I want to talk to the team about too, is just really showcasing that, like, it's not about being a brewer to work in a brewery. Like, a brewery is a company that has several different roles that are needed: marketing, photographer, accounting, I don't know, all these different things. And I think people think brewery and they think, oh, I'm working in the back in the thing, and I don't know how to do that, so it's just not for me, without really thinking about there's all these different places that you can integrate in. And maybe then you'll start drinking beer, then maybe you'll share with your family and friends, and then it trickles down like that, you know? So I think that's super, super key too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No,
that's the goal.
And I guess what I want to say as well was we took our own advice. So for Link Up, the easiest part, well, because that's what we said to you. We're like, well, how do we attract it? Because now that's our challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, we have become that agent of change that working with the brewery. So getting the collabs is easy. Like, I know a lot of people, like the Sankiem crew know a lot of people, so it's no sweat. But actually reaching the communities that we need to reach, that's the challenge. And exactly what Tiff said, that's our next goal for Link Up. So the first part was like establishing ourselves within the beer world and seeing what we could do there. And then now we're going to have to proactively reach out, probably individually, because I don't believe there's an easier way to do it. But create relationships with all these different community groups and, you know, told them about our job board. And to be, you know, maybe the people there, like Tiff's mum, she has a daughter who could be going, right? And be like, I'm sure there's people there who got kids who are of age who could work in a brewery. So, you know, get them involved. One of the things that we told you back then was to do an event, like say, hey, if you want to hold, you guys have events at this place, well, why don't you do your event here? We could pair beers with some of the dishes and things like that, so that people could learn about beer to make it an experience, whilst also just being a space to hold their event that they're doing anyway. So everybody kind of wins. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because we haven't had you on to talk about that in this context since. So it was just really dope of you to ask that. So it just made... And that alone is what you guys were on our top of our list from when we started to Link Up of who we want to reach out to. So I'm glad we got it done. It's a beautiful thing. You're a legend.
Got it done. Beer's great. Yeah, you guys are great. It's all great. Life is great.
Everything's great.
I also saw I just realized your username on here, and that's also great. I just was looking over and I'm like, Party Dad. That is great. I just want everyone to be able to take that in. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I'm the party dad.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe you should change your Instagram handle.
But I love that. Yeah, you're 100% before even the time, because, like, in all honesty, like, if we all realize there at post George Floyd is kind of where a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, like, what? Like, we've been ignoring, like, black people or something, for example? Like, a lot of this kind of happened post-George Floyd, right? But I think you're ahead of that. You were always thinking of that ahead of, like, a crisis happening, which is super key. love the sky views.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue, like, well, not argue, but like, I think it's been around for a long time. Like, these issues of all kinds of equality in the workforce have existed for the entirety of human history, and therefore may exist for the rest. But let's work on it so it doesn't.
yeah. Let's do our best, to the thing, and that's why we're attacking from the inside, basically. Yeah, we're just.
But it kind of came up like in the the late part of the 20th century, right? It became more and more of an issue, and there were legislation made by different governments all over the world, including Canada's government, in the workforce. But like it's always something we can work on, but especially, as everybody knows, in the craft beer industry or in the beer business in general, it's been a uphill road because of all the white guys.
Basically.
That's basically.
Basically. So, have you? I guess a couple questions then. Have you? I mean, obviously, have you had any luck with any of those things that we talked about back in the day? I know it was a very brief conversation, but did anything ever sort of come out of that? And then second part to that was, what things have you done? Because I know you guys are definitely very, very big on community. If anyone's seen any of the podcasts with you, like, we talk about that a lot, and it's really important.
The whole thing.
It's basically the whole brand, right? Like, if it's without that community, it's super difficult. So yeah, I'd just love to hear if you have, what different things you've done and that's worked, and even things that you haven't done. There you go. Look, see, that's the place. This is the community, the Hochelaga. You know the vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the answer is the same to both questions, and it's something I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to like make right something that I did wrong the last time we were on the podcast, and it was getting towards the end, and I was drunk, and you were like, "What's the thing you're most proud of?" And I just blanked because I'm like not a boastful person, I don't got that pride thing going on in my life, and I was partying and like I was like, well, I don't know. What a fucking cop out. And then I was like, whoa, the community, which is true. But the thing I'm most proud of, and I thought of it like almost immediately after,
of course,
is these programs that we have, which are like community give back, fundraising, beers, you know what I mean? And so we've done like a shit ton. Like I said, it's so in our wheelhouse. It's like from the bar's inception, there was those kinds of events were happening for political organizations, community organizations of all kinds. You know what I mean? From the arts, from the social to different cultural background things. Like we have had those events happening at the bar, and like I guess, like I said, just like I can't get the experience of this patio because I've been in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing I'm most proud of, and that has been I think we have been doing that work, but a program that we have at the bar, and this is, I was watching all the podcasts, everybody brings up their programs, right? And one of our programs at the bar for the community give back thing are staff beers. So the staff like writes the recipe, and then they brew it with the brewer, whoever it may be. And then they pick the charity in the neighborhood. You know what
Sick.
I mean? And so we've probably done like, I don't know, 30 of those, and it's like $1,000 each. We usually raise per brew. And so that's something that we've been doing already. But it doesn't do the legwork of approaching the different cultural communities, because you just give them a check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is cool, and I'm sure they all appreciate it, and like I know certain organizations, all of them need money, and it's great that it's going to help people. I don't know how much it draws them into the craft beer journey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that legwork, like you guys were just saying, like that's the work part of all of these discussions.
Yeah.
Is doing that. Like you said, it's going to be one by one to go visit spots and be like, hey guys, you guys like craft beer? Do you know about it?
Basically.
Yeah.
It's like Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Cookies
it's a big challenge though, because it's like whether the brewery does it, whether we do it, there doesn't seem to be another way around it that we've found, really. Like as far as reaching people. Going to
sometimes
grassroots as fuck, man.
Exactly.
Sure.
You have to have your boots on the ground sometimes. That's just what it is to get that type of messaging across, and I think that's key. I think a lot of it for us is like strategic partners. So like, for example, you all are partners, but then also partnering with community organizations, but then also partnering with like we were talking about job placement boards, like the job thing companies, the ones that actually like get people placed. So for example, especially when it comes to like people who are new to Canada, even there could be job opportunities that they don't know about. And if we're partnering with these placement agencies, then we can be like, hey, we have this board. It's called a plug. There's a ton of jobs on there. There's somebody who might be coming, who might be interested. I think it's just like really expanding the knowledge that like, you know, people are like, oh, I'm going to get a job. I'll get a job at a restaurant. Like people can easily think about that, or they can easily think about a bar and understand that there's different things you can do there. They just don't have that thought yet for breweries.
Yes.
And once we really can kind of start drilling in that, it's like, it's still, I think placing brewers is going to be awesome, but there's also people who could become a brewer down the line because they've created a passion based on like working originally in the back and then working their way off, for example, like these things that can happen, right? So we're trying to infiltrate in different ways, but it's definitely a multi-pronged approach to try to get there.
Yeah. The reason I asked that question, and probably the reason I don't remember asking that question, is because I've asked a lot of people that same question. It was something that was really on my mind, and it's still on my mind, you know? But I was just going to say that, like, just the act of, like, having a stance in-house, like in your human resources, like having a fucking policy, like it does work. You do get diverse applicants, absolutely. You know what I mean? Are they the best applicants? Who knows? You know what I mean? You all, at the end of the day, as like, I guess this also happens on all the podcasts. You know, well, at the end of the day, we're selling beer. You know, we're business. Gotta get the bottom line. But you want the best candidate. You know what I mean? Which ends up in this industry because it's self-perpetuating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It ends up being the people who are already in the community.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? And that's like the easy part for us, like I was saying, is the industry, right? To get the collabs happening, to get the awareness amongst the just the people who are already like the circle jerk. Everyone's already following Les Bas. So hey, Les Bas does this, they post about us, your community learns about it. But I think it worked. Us having even just taken this stance, and like I said, in-house, did attract a more diverse workforce. Now, is that because we did it, or is that a sign of the times? You know what I mean? I don't know. Could you define what you did for? And this is really what I'd like to use these podcasts for. Where like, if you had a win in this thing, like define it so other breweries can be like, "Yo, we could do that." When you said your HR policy, that
all we did, I think it was in 2016, was we said, okay, every new hire, if it doesn't come from internally, because that's part of, you know, our policy as well. It's like you were just talking about, Tiff, like lateral moves in the company, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the workforce you have already. But all we did was like every new hire, we will prioritize diversity at the same credentials. You know what I mean? So if we have two candidates who have the same credentials, one of them represents some underrepresented group in our industry, but we'll hire that person. You know what I mean? That's the stance that we took.
Okay.
There was fucking blowback.
Of course.
I remember. Like, thousands of comments, you know what I mean? Of like, just fuck.
Wait, so was that public? So that was public and people knew that?
That was public, yeah.
Oh, shit.
We posted that right away.
Yeah.
We got a lot of hate. But we got a lot of love too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I love that. Yeah. It's basically affirmative action is what you did. Like, you basically with the fermentation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It exists for a reason, though. Like, that concept didn't come out of some ridiculous, out of nowhere, right?
No.
Like, the reason that exists was because, they needed
like
to address it.
I felt late at the time, even when we did it. It was like, oh shit, we could have done this before.
Yeah, there you
know
go.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I think that's a really simple policy anybody can do today, is to say exact same qualifications. I'm going to pick the person from an underrepresented community.
I mean, that's...
I see why I got you in trouble, but I love it.
I mean, if you
got us in trouble.
But if you did it
from the whites.
Yeah,
from the
whites, we were not pleased.
From the whites.
It's the interesting thing about that is you did it in 2016.
Yeah.
So doing it back then, I mean, that's a pretty bold stance, like long before anything kind of crazy had happened or breweries.
But like I said, I felt late. I felt like it was offensive that it took me this long to think of that. You know what I mean? It wasn't me. It was definitely an in-house thing, spurred on by one of my business partners, Pierre, who was the manager at the bar at the time, and he was like, "This is what we're doing," and everybody was like, "Yes, that is what we're doing. Yes. Why don't we think of it before?"
Because it just makes sense, though. Like, it's just
It just makes sense.
I think
my tagline for that is like, all right, well, I'm already a straight white brewer, dude. I don't need another straight white brewer, dude. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily going to add to my workforce. You know what I mean? It's like having doubles of the baseball card or whatever. Like, I want more baseball cards, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I also think that's just very funny. It's just like, I'm already here. I already filled this role, so what do I need more of you people for? That's just really funny.
Yeah.
But one thing we have said is that, like, when you do have diversity inside the workforce, it creates more ideas potentially as well. So it kind of aligns with what you're saying, where it's like you already have maybe this perspective already, which is great. So it'd be nice to have other perspectives that can contribute to the brewery.
Precisely.
Overall, so
Precisely.
Yeah.
But I mean, that I think it's selfish of me, because it's really in my own interest, because the thing that excites me the most is having, like you just said, different ideas coming in, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that selfishness, like, it's not, it is, but it isn't. Because it's for the better of the company, which is for the better of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the example from the very first Link Up episode we did, Stefan, who's the CFO of Dominion City, is a black dude. And he was like, he works at
I watched it.
You watched that one, so you saw it, right? Like, he was saying, I guess I want to reiterate the point that he, decided to have his bachelor party with all Dominion City beers, and that's turning on his friends who are from a diverse backgrounds onto craft beer. And we were asking, like, what did they think? Oh, yeah, they really liked it. So that's all you got to do is give people the opportunity to try it, because they might have an idea in their head. When I say they, I mean people who haven't been exposed to it yet, regardless of their background, I guess.
You're not talking about Stefan's friends. You're not talking about them friends of Stefan.
Not specifically. It's just anybody who is like hasn't been exposed to it yet.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, they might think that, oh, it's that fancy shit that only white guys with beards and lumberjack shirts drink. Or like, oh, it's all bitter. Like the IPAs are bitter because everyone makes fun of IPAs on the internet, which is annoying to me. And then once they actually come along and they're like, oh, this is a vibe. Oh, these are cool. Wow, look how big those fermenters are. Like, damn, like you got 25 taps and they're all like all these different things and different flavors. Like,
yeah,
I think that is really what.
What a beautiful background.
Yeah, it's really nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what.
This is a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. See, people can come. That's like you could look at that and that could be just a bar in downtown.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Like, yeah. It doesn't. People might not realize that like breweries are a vibe, and there's like I've never Either way, it's more just like showing people what it is, and it takes those small situations, such as just one dude working at a brewery, bringing some stuff home and sharing with his friends, or catering an event with that just expands it. But it just starts from like one person in the brewery working there to understand the culture, and then they can sell it to their friends and family, and then boom, 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 so on and so forth. So, it's an interesting It's an interesting thing, really.
Pursuant to one of my last answers, that I've noticed that we've been getting, more diverse hires that check our boxes and fit our thing. Have you guys noticed that? More diversity in the scene in the past 2 years, 3 years,
Yes.
5 years, 6 years?
Absolutely. Would you say so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go outside, so I can't say it from that perspective. But I mean, like, I would say around when our really good friends, Crowns and Hops, were like first starting out, and that would be like 2016-ish, probably. I felt like they created this like wave, of course, like primarily American-based. But like that was the first thing where like all of these like black beer drinkers started popping up online. I was like, oh my gosh, like who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And like that was like so amazing to me. It was like some renaissance, like I don't know, it was just like a renaissance of like black.
It was,
yeah, it was crazy.
It really was.
Right now, because of COVID, and like I haven't been outside enough to see like our breweries and tap rooms more diverse, and I can't necessarily speak to a place that I went to where I was.
I can think of one.
Impressed completely. Tell me.
Blood Brothers. Like I went in there a few times
you went in to
over
purchase,
the last couple of years. Not to
Yeah.
drink just because it wasn't open, but I could go in there to get to go. Every single time there was dudes of color behind the counter, and there was like hip hop playing.
Oh shit, Bellwoods.
Oh, and Bellwoods.
We went
too.
to
Yeah,
Bellwoods.
Maybe
So that's
that's
one of
it.
the first breweries I sat down in, like a couple months ago, or last month.
I think
last
it was
month.
last month.
Wow, time.
Right?
And there was like they were all fully diverse. It was nuts. There was definitely, I feel like, more other people than there were even white people there, which I thought was really impressive. And something that Shahan said last night that I'm thinking is interesting too is that when you create beers as well that are more kind to a newer palate, I feel like that also helps the brewery. Like, say, for example, Bellwoods, we looked at the table, and it was like a table full of South Asian guys, and they were all drinking
Bellweiser.
Bellweiser.
Pilsner.
So it's a Pilsner. Not offensive. If you drank Heineken and you drank these other things, you can drink that for sure, and it's going to just taste better, and you're like, damn, okay. So I think there's also a benefit. And then even this beer that you're making here and the beers you make, and then what Shahan made for this as well, they are like drinks that are like friendlier to a palate. They're not like these double IPAs like punch you in the face, which is all the things that people say they make fun of and don't like. They need a lot of warming up to.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if the breweries that have these beers are also just going to be more successful at attracting a diverse base, because it's like you're not making all these hectic ass beers all the time for people who are like, it's too much when you first start out, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think about the concept? And I've heard this going around, and I don't know, maybe it was on one of your podcasts, that like before craft beer was beer more inclusive because there was one kind. So like everybody who wanted to drink a beer, there was just that one. You know what I mean? You just said like the Jamaican, your mom orders Heineken, or some other communities are going to order Stella or Budweiser or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just the one thing.
Yeah.
So
That's such an interesting
that's
concept.
interesting.
There probably was.
Yeah.
And it's like craft beer was this subset of it. But if you think about the advertising, say like a 90s ad for Budweiser, it's a bunch of white folks at the beach or whatever.
And girls in bikinis.
And
or
girls in
something.
bikinis. So it's like it's aimed at men.
Yeah.
And from memory, this is very vague memory, but I don't recall people of color in those ads. In Australia, VB, Victoria Bitter? You familiar with that Aussie beer?
yeah.
Yeah. The ad, it was the tagline's like, a hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer. And the whole thing is just blokes in fucking, not cowboy hats, but it's called Nakubra, the Aussie hat, just fucking guiding on a horse, guiding sheep through. Like, it was just white.
What a specific white
like
activity.
Like a Marlboro man type of thing. Yeah, it's really crazy. Or dudes just working on a tractor or digging, and then the Sheila comes out and brings them a beer. Like, I think beer advertising was always to men.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you drink beer, like, it wasn't exclusive, I guess, but all the advertising was essentially to white men. But if there was only there's only really one popular style, like, it was just like, which of the popular styles, which brand did you like best?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Like-
then craft beer is like this subset of it all.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask on the note that Tiff brought up with being kind to the palates, I feel like one thing that we've noticed, is that the two probably main styles that convert people, you would think it would be your culture lager, which is just a phenomenal, very approachable in the tall can, which I love too. Like crushable crispy boy. Like if you put that next to a Budweiser for a Bud or Coors drinker or something, they'll be satiated by that. But that's only a part of the population. We've noticed that white wine drinkers would love something like this, like the Link Up beer. That's a Gose, that's fruity, it's a little bit acidic and tart and tangy, and it's
love this beer.
It's just phenomenal.
I love this beer.
Yeah, I haven't really raved enough.
Fucking great. Like I love this beer.
I'm very glad we have plenty of it.
Yeah,
Simo's the man.
And I like the salt here, kind of like it's like a nice. It's almost so
Yeah,
nice.
it's super subtle.
Yeah.
Super subtle, but
It's like thereafter when you're sitting, you're like, that's a nice salt I have on. My tongue there. I love it. Yeah.
So with that subtleness and even the Tiff's tasting notes right there, like I would imagine that not just this beer, but white wine drinkers who are familiar with these flavor profiles would be able to come to the brewery and confidently try a whole bunch, the Bière de Balcon, the raspberry, or any of the other sort of like, flagships or the special stuff that you're doing now at the production facility with the beautiful beer garden you have there. Like, how have people reacted, maybe like newer beer drinkers, and look at that, look at it. Tell me you're not trying to be there right now. Get in an Uber, guys. Right now. How have people reacted? Like, do you feel that your products are friendly to, like Tiff said, diverse palates, but also to gateway, because essentially it's one and the same. Like, particularly if you're trying to bring in new people from different backgrounds, they probably would be gateway drinkers that need to be, have that bridged, plus also are used to different flavors. So, yeah, any thoughts on that?
Quick answer. I'm like, like quick cop out is like, again, I'm too in the fishbowl. Second answer, more complex answer. These are chunky issues. The other like beer advertisement was also a chunky issue.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the beer we sell the most of is the low ABV raspberry beer, right? The Bière de Balcon is the big one. So has it to do with its drinkability? Gosh, I hope so. Like that's what I set out to do with every single beer, is make it as drinkable as possible. Although maybe not. Well, yeah. No, that's not true. Even the Imperial Stouts, even the double IPAs, even the, you know what I mean? I want people to be able to drink them.
That's fair.
That would help.
And to enjoy drinking them, you know what I mean? But I am thinking about everybody. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Are people here, like, what beer gets them hooked? From the tap room point of view and the bar, the biggest sellers are the big beer sellers in general right now, which is like blonde and IPA.
Okay.
But here the Balcon like almost gets up there. So, but like, is that disproportionate because the people who come here are beer drinkers and they come here to drink the most popular beers, and you know what I mean? I think that when we do events, and not even particularly cultural events, but like any event, you do get a new crowd of people, and it's 2022, and there's more different kinds of people all the time, who are coming out. And I think they do like our like crushers. I don't think they drink IPA.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think the new, like you were saying, the people who come here and who are like getting seduced by craft beer, they drink like that kind of shit, the fruity, sour, cool, my bangers, like the shit that I'm into. You know what I mean? Maybe because it translates, people are like, oh, these are good, and I put passion into those beers. I don't know.
Yeah. It's probably a question more for like the taproom manager or something. But one other thought that I had as well is that particularly,
but like yeah, it would be, and the servers. It's all about the servers and the taproom and the managers, and like how because they get the feedback. For sure.
The live feedback. Also, the bar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the brew pub. You have other products there. You have ciders that you pour. You have booze and all that type of shit. So I know you're saying booze. There are a few. The interesting thing I think about that though, it's a bar, it's a brew pub, but it's a bar. So people can...
There's a bar first, yeah.
Right. So it's a neighborhood bar, and that people can just come by, and there's probably people who come there or just have a gin and tonic the whole night and they won't even touch the beers, but it's one of those friendly environments that you could bring, you know, you as a beer nerd for me, and if I'm going to go out with a bunch of non-beer people, I'd be like, well, we could go to L'Espace because I'm going to be happy, and then you can drink all your shit, and we're all happy, but then you're going to see me with this bright red, beautiful beer, and then you'd be like, oh, what's that? Because this happens to me.
Yeah.
Right? I'll be like, oh, take a sip. Pre-COVID, because now we would never do that filthy activity. And you'd be like, you know, oh shit, what's that? I mean, this has happened to me so many times. People drinking a New England, I'm drinking a New England IPA, and one of Tiff's friends sipped that and lost their mind over it. Same deal with like the sours.
Yeah.
So it's more just, I think that's what L'Espace is beautiful at doing. I think you provide an environment that's safe, friendly, and welcoming. And
it's inclusion, man.
And inclusion,
all are welcome.
But you also have the other options for people. That's also inclusion, right? And then that gets them warmed up because they don't feel like, oh, this is what a beer bar is? You've got this? I don't feel out of place here. I feel like I could be at any bar. You know what I mean?
Definitely at the brew pub over the years, I had more connection with the clientele, I think. I mean, here we're just starting up, you know, so haven't built those relationships. There's some, for sure. But I saw it. I saw people do exactly that. Start and like they would come in and not drink beer, and then a year or two later they drank every single beer. You know what I mean?
It's just that pathway. You're providing like a welcome pathway.
And like old ladies,
yeah,
like yeah, drinking like after a couple of years, moving on to like big IPAs, like fill it up. You know,
let's go. Come on, don't skip me.
Yeah.
See, like I love that.
It's sick.
But that's really what it's all, because it's like, you know, providing gateway. Obviously, we want diversity of backgrounds because that's really what's going to grow it. But at the same token, just opening palates up to new experiences, regardless, is still important because that's still growing the industry. So whatever.
Well,
you
I
can
think
do,
it's part of the fallacy of craft. Not the fallacy. A fallacy of craft beer is we used to, all the boomer dudes were like, well, we're about educating people. And even us, when we started and got into this industry, I'm talking about us, me, myself and the company, you know, that was always been a part of our mandate is like education. But like, I don't know. It's so like, I'm too deep. I'm too in the fishbowl. But like, do people want to fucking hear about Citra? Do people want to fucking hear about like oat flakes? Like, do people want to hear about, like they do, but they don't. On a nominal level, they want to hear a little bit, you know what I mean?
just enough.
But like education is not like the white dude barking down your throat of like, I know more about this shit than you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I
think that's really fair.
I never
that's
thought
really
about
funny. Because it's true. Like some people are like, "Can I just have the fucking drink?" Like you're just gonna.
Well,
like,
tell me,
you know?
Drink. Yeah, I think it
leave me
depends.
the fuck alone.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. It's probably an environment thing too, where it's like if at a winery, maybe that's when you would. So maybe it's like if you come to the brewery in the day, I feel like you will ask. Almost really, you're just like, oh cool, what's this about or something, and then you can go off. But it's true, it's like if I'm just like, hey, I'll take the IPA, and the person's like, well, did you know that this and this and the Citra does this and this? You're kind of like, bro, just
great. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'm
sold. I'm good.
Sit down there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's really funny. I think that's and I like that because I think that's changed. I think before when it was like supposed to be this niche, because that's what we're trying to pull it out of, right? But maybe when it was this niche thing, then it was supposed to be like, ooh yeah, like. Here's all my knowledge about beer I'm going to give you and all that stuff. But now it's like if we want it to be a little bit more to the masses and more a diverse crowd, then like when anyone wants to know anything, they'll just find out themselves. They'll Google it for the most part.
Well, and that's why I flip back, because you just said for the masses. That's why you flip back to the masses beer. Like, is that lager beer like more inclusive? I don't know. Was it more inclusive back in the day? Is it more inclusive today? I think definitively yes, because more people still drink it. You know what I mean? But it's an interesting concept. And then it's hard for us because we're like underdogs with, you know, 1/10 of the market share. And like, yeah.
But I wonder
it means that our whole market is like, you know, we're making products like you said, the difficult, challenging beers for people. Well, those beers are like for only 1% of the 10%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What makes them exclusive? Do you think, like, as opposed to inclusive? Like, what makes a New England?
I think it's in that. I think it's in that it becomes an education race, and then like an intelligentsia race and an academic race, and it becomes this like really dude geekified thing of like, I know more, and I'm gonna fucking mansplain it to you right now. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's interesting because if you even just think about how beer is marketed by the other 90%, they're only focusing on like the vibe. They're not telling you anything about the beer.
No flavor, just
beer,
vibes.
No flavor, just vibes. Yeah, no ingredients, just vibes. They're just like, hey, you're hanging out somewhere, this is the beer, period. That's just it. That's like what their thing is. You're going, you're playing golf, drink this beer. You're doing this, drink this beer. It's never about the like, we used, you know what I mean? Like, none of these people know what that's in. So maybe there is a level of intimidation that has come in here because you see something and it's like, this has mosaic, citra, blah, blah. And you're like, what the fuck are all these like things here? And it just becomes too overwhelming and you're just like, fuck this.
So it's too based on education requirements.
Maybe that, and it's interesting because you are able to do that with wine, but wine all the time, they don't even go that deep.
Wine doesn't even try to be inclusive.
Yeah, but wine doesn't even try to be inclusive.
Like,
it's so true. Yeah, wine doesn't give a fuck, actually, so they're probably not
it's on the same tip, though. It's on the same tip with wine, you know?
Yeah.
For a person looking on the outside looking in, like, I'm never going to be able to learn all this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then this fucking dickhead, is like, trying to talking down to me about some shit, like...
No, it's true.
What's up now, man? I just want to be refreshed.
Get a little bit of my buzz on, you know? Like, that's it.
That's fair. Maybe it needs to chill. It's like a bit of a chill out that needs to kind of happen a little bit. And you know what's funny? Rosewood, they said they stopped putting descriptions on their bottle. Rosewood Winery in Niagara. They said they started Beamsville. They said they stopped putting... all the descriptors on their wines because they, one, thought it was intimidating, but two, thought it was like persuading people too much to want to identify certain things and do all this and not just focus on like, did I like this because it drinks well or did I not? And they're like, it's on our website if you want to actually find out like further details and tasting notes. But it's like, maybe that is the thing, you know, like Jacob's Creek, for example, they're not like, you're lucky they even tell you it's a Chardonnay, probably. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going into all the things in the grapes and the aging and the steel versus... but they're not doing any of that.
That's deep into my shit. Like, that's my dream, you know what I mean? But that can be exclusive at the same time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all about presentation. I don't know. I think a lot about these issues.
Oh, it's good, because we have to. Yeah.
And I think we here think a lot about these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we still put in descriptions on our cans, like, but styles are so stupid. And it goes back to, like, do people really want to know about, like, well, it goes from Leipzig and the Gose River in northern Germany. And it was a little bit saline at a time. So, like, hundreds of years ago, they would drink this beer and, like, they actually have this bottle with a very long neck because it was like a champagne method, but not champagne because it was in Leipzig, Germany. But the sediment and yeast would collect it. You know what I mean?
It's pretty interesting, though, I gotta say.
Fuck?
But it is pretty interesting.
Sure, but like, I just want to be refreshed. I just want to have a good drink, man. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
it's fair. It's fair.
So it's really
but it is interesting. But like, it's about the presentation, right? It's about the education and not getting too like top down, not getting too above people, you know?
Yeah.
And picking the moment and seeing what each individual guest wants to hear at that time. And if they want to know more, they'll ask questions. If they're like, hey, what's that one? Okay, that's like a salty sour. Okay, cool. I no problem. That's as much as they need to know at the time. Simplify it, make it welcoming. I think this is actually a very valuable conversation.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We haven't really talked about it. About this.
Simplify, haven't we? No.
On the pod at all. I think it's just very interesting because it's like, is it just too intimidating to start?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
It's a good point.
So yeah, I think
it is.
Cool. Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
I guess no one ever intended.
But everything has their roadblocks. You know, everything has their hurdles to jump over to get to, and you have to like get into it if it gives you the vibes. And maybe that's what I'm saying. That's why the macro brewers are selling vibes, because
Yeah.
man, they're more inclusive. They just want everybody to vibe instead of like teaching them a fucking history list. I don't know, man. You know? I don't want people to get mad.
No, but it's fair. I think
People
it's
can
fair.
get mad.
It's fair because it's the things you have to acknowledge and pay attention to, you know? Because it's like being inclusive, including inclusive language, inclusive marketing, all these things, it steps at it's everywhere. So it's like you have to think and dissect every single thing because obviously something's not working as is, so what can be changed or what are things that are worth testing and trying to understand. So I think it's definitely interesting. And honestly, I think maybe that is even why our friends at Lost Craft did so well in the beginning, because it was like, hey, here's this sleek, delicious beer, go drink it, and it was just a lager, and it was very chill, and it just looked great, and it wasn't intimidating. It was actually like, very clearly for a diverse crowd and things like that, and that might have just benefited them. Because nobody was thinking, none of my friends, like, they were all drinking Lost Craft, but they would never be able to tell me what style of beer that is. That would have never been in their minds.
No.
You know?
And maybe that's what it's going to come down to. It's just, it's time and place for that education side, which is a really interesting sidebar to all of this. Yeah. So that's some shit we never really thought about. Yeah. Usually these I think I told 55. You these podcasts were supposed to be 30 to 60 minutes because that's why Tiff said
it's supposed to be 30 to 45, but I learned.
She lets me go over sometimes
when it's
Simo, and we're dropping gems. Simo's dropping gems. Yeah. So is it last question? Was there anything that you guys have got coming up in this kind of space that you want people to know about, or just anything in general that what the man them to know was going with?
I wish I was like more prepared for that question.
It's okay, bro.
They can probably follow you online to make sure they keep up with the events and things like that.
You should probably do that. Yeah, the brewery is called L'Espace Public. It's here in Hochelaga Maisonneuve. You can, get on all the socials. Well, probably only Facebook and Insta. Nothing else. But we're there.
You are there.
You're killing
so
it.
There's that.
Public. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. This summer we're working on pop-up food events at the brewery here, at the tasting room here, all summer long. So like kind of guest chefs a week at a time. And I honestly, that's why I said I wish I was more prepared, because I don't fucking know who's booked and who's doing it. Val is doing it, and she's gonna do a dope job. So far it's been sick. We've had my man Mark Giroux from the Pickup. You know what I mean? He came and did last week. Nice. Next week, this week we have Ernesto from the Taqueria Schlag here in Hochelaga, makes the tacos. So check it out. Get on it. Come on down and have some great beers and food, man. We're not doing any parties, any festivals really, because it's a party every day. We've got a festival going on every day.
Party dad.
Look at it. Look at the vibes. Tell me that's not where you want to be.
The vibes are real.
All I feel is regret for not being there, really.
Same.
That's the only vibes I get.
Exactly that.
I love it. And this beer, once again, the Bière de Link Up, is going to be available in a whole bunch of places across Quebec.
Right now it's on tap at both of our facilities. That's, again, June 30th, 2022.
Love it.
But it likely won't be on tap for long. Probably like next week will be gone.
Because it's just so damn good. Yeah.
So make sure you grab it while you can. Come taste it on tap. Go find it at your favorite depths across Quebec. Look. And it's a bloody ripper. Simo, thank you again for hanging out. Thank you for being a good friend. You're a gem. And thank you again for being a part of Link Up. We love you. We love the brewery. Yeah. The beer is phenomenal. Everyone needs to put it in them.
For sure.
I'm just gonna stop you right there and say that I love you. We love you. Everybody get love and give love and have love and
Yes, it's always a vibe with Simo. So make sure to check out at L'Espace Public on social. I imagine it's l'espacepublic.ca or .com for your website if you would want to. CA. That's what I thought. I thought it was CA. Stick around. You know the vibes. We'll finish up afterwards. Oh, thumbnail. Shit, Simo. Hold up the cam right there, you sex god.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I almost forgot. All right, there we go. Ready? Oh, that is hot. All right, y'all. Thank you again for watching and listening. This was actually the last podcast we're doing until probably August. Tiff and I are moving, so we are taking July off doing podcasts because life is about to be
hectic,
and there's going to be shit everywhere, and it's not going to be.
The house, there's going to be boxes all behind. That's what it is. You probably stack the boxes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Like that. Yeah,
and then they're going to rip shit off the walls. There's going to be holes in the
It's
walls.
going to be a hot mess central here.
Ain't nobody want that. So we'll be back in probably mid-August, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The next Link Up series is in late September, early October. We haven't locked it in exactly yet, but that's what we're aiming for. So this was an amazing series. Once again, Simo, thank you for being a part of that and for bringing it home exactly how it needed to be done. You're a gem. Everybody, thank you for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the flip and thumbs up. Hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast and also at Link Up Beer. It is linkupbeer.org. You can apply if you're a BIPOC individual. You can apply for the program. You can do Cicerone. You can do some scholarships for schools. All sorts of good shit. Check out the plug job board so we can make sure that we're hooking people up with opportunities. And if you are a brewery, also for you, Sim, I don't know if I really told you, but if you ever have any jobs, just shoot us an email and we'll put it up on the plug job board right there. So that's, any brewery can message us. We're not going to proactively do it, but any brewery who wants to hit us up, that means we know that you are down with diversity in your brewery. So let us know. We're going to put it up there. What else do I have to say? Yes, we dropped these podcasts. This one's coming out in 2 weeks from now. So basically every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Everyone, enjoy the summer. Behave yourselves. Drink good craft beer. Support good breweries. Hug your mates. Don't share glassware, but just share a can. Put it in you, as our good friend Val says. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.